Hi folks, I'm Paul from Barbecue Life Ireland. I'd much sooner get on with the video, but Roger talked me into doing a little introduction. So most of you know who I am from the page, and I took up cold smoking a few years ago, and I'm going to talk you through this evening on curing bacon, curing the pork, turning it into bacon, and then cold smoking it again after that. So today is day one of the process. It takes about 2 weeks or thereabouts, 10 days, and in the cure, and then a few days after that to smoke it, and then it needs to equalise as well. So I'll talk you through it right along over the next few days. If you want to follow along, we'll be on a live video after this, and I'll show you the basics of what you need and the very first start of the process here this evening. So any questions, folks, just ask. Right, folks, just going briefly through the equipment first of all. First of all, you're going to need a kitchen scales. This one weighs in grams, which is absolutely fine for what we're doing here this evening. And then, of course, to make some bacon, you're going to have to start off with some pork. I have a pork loin here, and it's a half a pork loin I got off my butcher. I've also got a pork belly there, which I'm not going to do this evening. I'll do that in my own time, and I'll follow along afterwards. But I'm going to use this one for the demo this evening. What you're looking for is pork loin. I'd like one with a nice little bit of eye and a little bit of the tail here on it as well. And you're looking for a fat cap on and the skin actually off it, unless you're going to make rind-on rashers. But I find for that purpose, for the dry cure, you really need to be able to get the cure through this side as well, which the rind stops you doing. Now, the essentials. First of all, as I said, the pork to turn into the bacon, most essential of all. Then you need the curing salt. Now, this is the one that I use. It's available in most of the Polish shops. We'll post a link to it there later if anybody wants it. I did the same there last week. And that's curing salt and regular salt mixed together. So that's ready to go. Your other option, and it's much harder to get, is this one here called Prague Powder number 1. Now that's actually what they call pink curing salt, and you have to add normal table salt to that, or normal salt to that as well, sea salt or whatever you want. I would say for anybody starting off is you go with, I have it in the jar there, that's the one there we get from the Polish shops. You need some sugar then. I like that dark brown sugar, that's the one I use. And then from Roger's recipe, I use smoked paprika and some cracked black pepper as an add-on onto it as well. So then for sealing it up afterwards, that's a vacuum sealer machine that I got in Lidl, and well worth getting them. They're back in again at the moment if you want to be doing a bit of, it's brilliant for all sorts of stuff. But if you don't have one of them, some Ziploc bags, some good size Ziploc bags that will take obviously the full piece of pork in it. So they're the ones out of IKEA, but I'm sure anywhere has them, Tesco or SuperValu or online or whatever you want. So they'll work absolutely fine too. I'll leave them one side because I have a bag made up here already. So they're all the essential equipment you have for it. Now we'll get down to the actual cure. The very first thing we need to do is weigh the meat. Now, I've already thrown it on there, and I know that there is 2 kilo, and I put it inside in the bag already. If you're using a vacuum sealing bag, well and good. If not, a Ziploc bag is absolutely fine. Now, very importantly is this bit here. This is the Digging Dog EQ calculator. I'll put up a link to it, but if you type it into Google, it'll bring you to this here. And this is so simple. You just enter the weight of your meat, which we know is 2,000 grams, and we click calculate down the bottom. That will bring us up these results here, and it shows that for 2 kilo of meat we need 5 grams of cure and 35 grams of salt. Now, the one that we're using from the Polish shop already has the cure and the salt added together. So now I need 40 grams of them added together and 20 grams of sugar. So that's quite easily done. I'll throw that and tear it. And I need 20 grams of our curing salt for starters. Or sorry, 40 grams of our curing salt. It's 28. Another spoon should get us close enough. 37. 38, there's 40. So because they're added together, I don't need to be absolutely accurate down to decimal points. But now the brown sugar that I use next, I'll just tear that off again on the scales, and I'd say something like about that 10, 11, so around 20 is what I'm looking for. Again, if it's a little over 20 or it's a little under, it's not the end of the world either way. So we have 19 there, 20 exactly, which is perfect. Now, this is what I've been doing because Roger does it. And I've been adding some smoked paprika to that. There's a wonderful colour on that and a nice little bit of flavour. Now, on about half a teaspoon or thereabouts is what I'm looking for. And some black pepper then, again for looks and for flavour. I'm not going to be too accurate. I'm going to call what I think is about half a teaspoon or thereabouts into that. Now, mix all that together. And then we cure the bacon, or cure the pork, I should say, to turn it into bacon. That process is going to take about 10 days or thereabouts. And I'll show you exactly how to do it now. Would you believe I did it a minute ago and it turned out the camera wasn't recording, so I had to, that's why there's a bit of a colour on this. I've had to wash the cure off it and start again. So that's all mixed together. Now what I do is I use any sort of a little, it doesn't really matter what way it goes into it because it's all going to liquefy and go into the meat anyway over the next 10 days or thereabouts. So I'll give it a good old mix through anyway. And I'll start off by putting maybe a third of it there on the fat cap. Or thereabouts. I use gloved hands. The simple reason is that paprika is pretty potent and it does leave a good stain. So you'll be going around with someone thinking you smoke 20 major a day if you don't wear the gloves. So rub it well in. You can see that lovely colour coming up. Get the ends of it as well and the ends of the back, and then flip it over, and more or less the rest of it onto the back end of it. And as I said to you, this will work its way around over the next few days anyway. Over the next 10 days or so. Now, making sure to get into all the corners and all the nooks and crannies. I do it in the bag, and the simple reason I do it in the bag is I make sure that whatever I've weighed in on my scales all goes into the bag and all goes into the cure, so I know that's the exact right amount. Now, what I'm going to do now is just to vacuum seal that, and again, if you're using a Ziploc bag, just a Ziploc and it's absolutely fine. So these little vacuum sealers from Lidl are very, very good, and they're back in there now at the minute. Just you have to be a little bit accurate with them just to make sure that the right seal is on it. That should seal up nicely. Now I normally use a Sharpie to write today's date on it, just so you'll know what date it is. Because you think you'll remember in a week's time and you say, oh, what day did I do that? So I'm going to write the 20th on that, and then I'll know. And the only thing we need to do with that for the next 10 days is to put it in the fridge and then flip it over. And then every day, flip it over. If you don't think about it for a day or two, that's fine. If you don't think about it for 3 days, it's still fine. You'll see a lot more liquid coming into the bag, and you'll see it you'll see it kind of moving around, and then you flip it over and let the liquids work its way into it. That will turn it into, in 10 days time we will have bacon. At that stage we'll start the smoking process, and again, you don't have to smoke it, you can eat it that day, but smoking just elevates it to a new level. We're going to have a live video up very shortly, and you can follow us on that, ask us any questions you like, or ask questions at the end of this thread, or send us a PM, or whatever suits. If you have any questions, just ask myself or Roger and we'll gladly help you out. Thank you.